had happened during that period, 1 year, 3 months? Had anything happened that detracted from the positive remarks by Minister Cele?
No, Commissioner, there was nothing that negative that we could have said happened with the task team that might have changed opinions. The task team kept on doing good work all the way.
Thank you.
Yes. Maybe just to complete that, did the IMC, between the period after the former minister made that statement and before the disbandment, ever express any dissatisfaction about the work of the PKTT and not achieving its mandate?
No, I must also say that normally IMC's lifespan is the administration of the specific government in place. So there wasn't IMC appointed, but there were ministers in those departments. But from either of those ministers and or my own minister, there was never any expression of dissatisfaction about the work of the task team.
Dissatisfaction, you mean?
Yeah,
there was never an expression of any dissatisfaction.
There was never expression of any dissatisfaction from any minister, including Minister of Police.
Yes, no, we'll deal with that, because you then say, when you deal with that letter, you say it came as a shock and a surprise. But let's deal with it when we get to that point.
Mr. Mkhwanazi, before you proceed.
Yes.
In this media statement, General, in that last page, 370, there's now a reference to the task team assisting in Limpopo and Mpumalanga provinces. You haven't said anything about it in your statement, and neither did General Mkhwanazi speak to Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Do you care to share any more detail?
We did wanted to expand to those two provinces, and we did have a meeting once with the ministers and the officials of the National Steering Committee at some point in Limpopo, more specifically at Mkhwanazi, to go and assess the killings. They were mostly in Mkhwanazi and Vembe, which is Twando. And in that assessment, we found that the provincial team is on course. They don't need any assistance. And so there was no further necessity to go and assist in that specific province. In Mpumalanga, there were cold cases that we needed to relook at, and that has never happened. We never extended to get to Mpumalanga. It was something that will still be done.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. General, if I can ask you to turn back to your statement and deal with paragraph 92. You say the narrative that the PKTT was not effective is completely false. Can I ask you to deal with that?
Thanks, commissioners. On paragraph 92, I'm saying that the narrative that the PKTT was not effective is completely false. If at any point I was convinced that the PKTT was no longer effective, I would not have approved its extensions and budgets, which had to be considered twice a year. Hence my astonishment when I learned that the minister had issued a directive to me to implement his decisions to disband the PKTT. I'm convinced that if the minister had made himself available for briefing and engaged me with an open mind prior to issuing the disbandment directive, he would not have disbanded the PKTT. But I must also say that, of course, on the renewal authorities, financial authorities, now and then you will find maybe especially the CFO questioning the long lifespan of the team. I mean, the CFO, you have got a right to question those. CFO normally don't know what is happening in the field, what we are dealing with. So we do accept that now and then CFO will query that. Will at some point she'll say, but why don't you make a unit? The reason why you don't make a unit, once you make a unit, then it's a unit of KwaZulu-Natal. Then you are back to square one, unfortunately. So, whereas here you have members of the team, they are not permanently there. They stay there for 2-3 months. They go home in their various provinces for a month or two. Then they come back as and when their cases are coming to court or to beef up the team. So that model worked for us the best because they don't belong to the province. They don't get involved in local politics whatsoever. So, thanks.
Thank you. If we can then go to the next topic that you deal with in your statement, which is Gauteng counterintelligence operation, commencing from paragraph 93. And it goes all the way until paragraph 100. If I can ask you, in the paragraph 93, you refer to the fatal shooting of an employee of an entity called QTech in Vereeniging. If I can just ask you to start there and tell the commission about the events of 17 April 2024.
Yeah, Commissioners, on the 17th of April 2024, Amaswart, an employee of an entity called QTech in Vereeniging, was fatally shot while seated in his car outside his workplace. The employer, which is QTech, had reportedly identified price inflation in a Transnet contract, which subsequently exposed a complex web involving organized crime, police corruption, and significant personal risk for those conducting the investigation. The organized crime unit in Gauteng, under the leadership of Deputy Provincial Commissioner Mbuso Khumalo, assumed the responsibility for investigating Mr. Swart's murder. This case became integrated into the broader Gauteng crime intelligence operation. 3 suspects were apprehended in connection with this murder. First one being Michael Puletau, a police officer. Musakekana, Tiero Floyd Denny Mabusela. The charges included murder, conspiracy, attempted murder, possession of suspected stolen property, and possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. Forensic examination linked the recovered firearms to several other violent crimes, thereby consolidating the cases against the accused and revealing a larger syndicate allegedly offering nearly R1 million for assassination. Although bail was successfully opposed initially, the accused Michael Puletau was later released on bail on account of health grounds. This development raised considerable concern among the investigators and prosecutors due to the increasing threats, including both verbal and physical intimidation, such as being followed and threatened with harm. Consequently, on the 5th of August 2024, the SPP formally communicated the threats to senior police officials, including myself. In the correspondence, the SPP requested urgent protection measures for the investigators. The letter of the
Yeah,
SP.
and those measures are
Oh.
set out in that letter,
In that letter.
which is at 371 to 372 of
Okay.
Masemola 2.
Thanks, Commissioners. Paragraph 98, in accordance with SAP's procedure, Major General Mbuso Khumalo conducted a threat and risk analysis supported by Major General Kalakala, who's Gauteng head of intelligence, and together with Colonel Mtuli, who completed the assessment, concluding that the risk level was high and recommended a 24-hour protection. Subsequently, the matter was escalated to National Office and a parallel counter-intelligence case was initiated along the primary investigation. Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, the Divisional Commissioner, was brought into the picture, and given the apparent association of SAPS officials of various ranks, with individuals under investigation, the threats directed towards investigators, allegations of bribery involving magistrates linked to the cartel, concern over police infiltration, and the reduction of the investigation team from 5 to 2 members, particularly due to the threats, it was deemed necessary for Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo to urgently request external assistance. The request was directed to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, who then seconded 10 members of the PKTT.
Sorry, yes. And can I just ask you, sorry, can I just stop you there?
Okay.
Sorry, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mutau. Can you just explain, you'll forgive me if it's been explained, but can you just explain the reduction of the investigation team from 5 to 2?
Commissioner, what it means is that the investigation of the murder of Amaswart, at some point there were 5 investigators. Because of the threats that were directed to this team, some of the members left the team, and there were only 2 left to carry on with the investigation. Sometimes you would want to force members to continue doing a certain work, but at some point when you realize that it might not assist, because you require certain braveness to do certain things, then they had to reduce from 5 to 2.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mutau.
Thanks, Chair. And that led to the request for capacitating that team with the secondment of the 10 members. That's the point you make in the last sentence of that paragraph.
That is correct, Commissioner, and it was brought to my attention and I approve of it.
Yes. But there's something I needed to get you to clarify in paragraph 99. When you talk about allegations of bribery involving magistrates, and perhaps let me just stop there and deal with that one. As I understand, these are only allegations at this stage, but
The 2 investigators, at some point, they were told by one of the seniors that there is 3 envelopes ready, and that one envelope is for the 2 of them, the other envelope is for the prosecutor, and the 3rd envelope is for the magistrate. So that is, of course, allegation. From my side, is a hearsay, but I'm sure General Khumalo could talk more on that. But it's still under investigation.
Yes, I think the point, perhaps the focus is that those are not concrete findings as yet, but they are allegations that are being looked into. I think that's more the point that I was trying to establish there with regard to those allegations.
That is correct, Commissioner.
That's correct. And equally with regard to the links to cartel members and the concerns over police infiltration, that equally has that status, that it's allegations that are being looked into at this stage.
Yes, it is allegations, yes, that is under investigation and might not be a good thing to expatiate more than that.
Right. And then in paragraph 100, you conclude by indicating that those members that were seconded to the Gauteng team were then integrated into that Gauteng investigation team. But the dockets were never transferred to the PKTT. If I can just ask you to explain that, the integration of the members into the Gauteng investigation team without the PKTT dockets being transferred.
Yeah, what we mean by that is that the members that came from KwaZulu-Natal came to assist the two colleagues in Gauteng. But what they were investigating was never taken to KwaZulu-Natal to form part of the political killings task team. Those dockets remain in Gauteng under, of course, this team.
After the lunch adjournment, subject to the commissioners agreeing that it's a convenient time to take lunch, you are going to be dealing with the arrests of Mr. Molefe and Mr. Matlala.
Let us indeed take the lunch adjournment now and resume at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to start. Cell phones off, please.
Mr. Jerry Bushura. Given this background, I requested, because the person was not trusting anyone, especially in Gauteng in the investigation of this crime, I requested Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo to conduct the investigation into this kidnapping. Through investigations, it was established.
Sorry, can I just ask you to just clarify there, without necessarily giving the details? Are you saying that the concerned party who came to see you implicated General Sibia in the kidnapping that you refer to in that paragraph, or is it in relation to something else?
No. He did not implicate him in the kidnapping. He implicated Mr. Matlala in the kidnapping. But he further said that Mr. Matlala is very close to General Sibia, and the concern of coming to me was that there is no way that General Sibia can oversee this investigation or decide who must investigate this case. That's the reason for coming to me.
So that information that is being conveyed to you, does that, or is that tantamount to implicating General Sibia then? as you say in paragraph 102.
That's correct, yes. That's what I'm saying, that yes, the person said General Sibia is close to this Mr. Matlala, who is implicated or suspected to be implicated in the kidnapping.
All right. I think you deal with this issue later when you deal with the internal investigation that was conducted, and we'll get to that. Then you proceed. You say, given this background, you requested.
I'm sorry, this may have been clarified, I'm not sure. Is the allegation that General Sibia was implicated because he's friends with Mr. Matlala, or is the suggestion that he was implicated, whatever the basis might be, but that he happens to be friends with Mr. Matlala? This is rather vague.
Maybe, do I hear you, Commissioner? Maybe you can repeat.
I'm saying this sentence is rather vague. I'm not sure what it means. Is the suggestion that General Sibia was implicated because he's friends with Mr. Matlala, or is the suggestion that he is implicated or was implicated on some basis, whatever that basis might be, but he also happens to be friends with Mr. Matlala? So what exactly does this mean?
What it meant was that, Commissioner, is that he said Mr. Matlala is possibly implicated in the kidnapping of Mr. Jerubushoga. But then the person further said he's aware that between Mr. Matlala and General Sibia, they are very close. And there is a lot happening around them. And there is no way that he can accept that he investigate this case or oversee this case. And further mentioned other areas where he says they are too close, they work together, they share a lot of information together. So there is no way that he can then oversee this investigation.
I see you are dealing with it in a very constrained manner.
Okay.
No.
All right.
You could perhaps explain to the Commission if there is a reason why you are not at liberty to detail or disclose the extent of what was revealed. You could say that to the Commission so that there is an understanding of why you are putting it simply like that and not going into detail. Or unless if there's a detail that is missing, you should provide it.
Okay, yeah, the matters around this, they are still under investigation, but, well, the person did bring to my attention that the closeness of them to such an extent that this person said, Mr. Matlala is actually one of my deputies, it's just that I'm not aware of, in that he's doing the same work with General Sibia, they direct police to do certain things and so on. So that was the allegation that was said. I think it's safe to leave it there.
And you're saying because of the fact that those matters are still under investigation?
Correct. They are still under investigation, yes.
And is that the reason why you are not sharing more? And you just simply make that allegation in terms of the General Sibia having been implicated?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it is safe to leave it there because it's still under investigation, so it might not be good to give everything while it's still under investigation. Thank you.
All right. If you can then proceed you say through investigations. This is the last sentence in paragraph 102.
Yeah, the operation conducted at Mr. Matlala's house, actually that's what I just said, to say that originate from a referral from me, in particular a concerned party that requested a meeting with me, and upon the meeting, the person implicated Mr. Matlala and also said Mr. Sibia is closer to Mr. Matlala. It was expressed that Mr. Matlala is involved in various crimes and suspected to be involved in the kidnapping of Mr. Cheribu Sugar. Given this background, because this person did tell me that I'll find it quite difficult to, according to her, he or her, to find a justification to choose a specific investigator in Gauteng. Hence, then I approached Lieutenant General Timisano Khumalo to conduct this investigation. Through investigations, it was established indeed that Mr. Matlala is a person of interest, which resulted in the search to his premises on the operation of the 6th of December 2024. I'm advised that soon after his arrest, Mr. Molefe was charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. On the 14th of May 2025, Mr. Matlala was arrested on 3 counts of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder.
And then you proceed, you state that these 2 individuals have now been formally charged with serious offenses for which harsh sentences are imposed by law if proven.
Yes, these 2 individuals have now been formally charged with very serious offenses for which harsh sentence may be imposed by law if proven. It is my considered view that the secondment of these individuals from the task team was a correct decision to do. That is the secondment of the members from KwaZulu-Natal PKTT. I'm advised that Timisano Khumalo will provide a detailed account of the GCI ops and the PKTT's involvement.
Mr. Khumalo or Lieutenant General Khumalo will give the details regarding those 2 takedowns of the 6th of December and the issues surrounding those activities, and as you indicated, it'll also deal with the statistics in relation to the successes of the PKTT and deal with the secondment of the PKTT members to the Gauteng team. And the
That is
operations there.
correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Right, and then we can go to the next topic. I mean, I know that later on you bring back these events of the 6th of December in relation to the events that relate to the disbandment. But if we can just then deal with the next topic being the disbandment, starting from paragraph 107, you talk about the fact that the issue relating to the minister's instruction to disband the task team started at a time when you were on leave in December to January. If you could just take the commission through that.
Thanks, Commissioners. And paragraph 107 of my statement, My involvement in the events unfolded in December 2024 to early January 2025. Commenced while I was on annual leave from the 30th of December 2024 to 14 January 2025. So on the 28th of December 2024, I was attending an official funeral of a captain in Escaweni, Richards Bay, with the Minister of Police. We had an opportunity to engage. We had engaged on other matters during that day.
Sorry, there's a point there that you make that annual leave had been approved by the minister.
Oh yes, the annual leave, yes, was approved by the minister himself, yes.
So he was aware that you were on leave.
He was aware that I will be going on leave from that day.
Okay.
Of the 28th.
Yes, you met at that funeral on 28 December 2024, and you said you had an opportunity to engage. Then, if you can proceed to 108.
Yeah, despite this, at no point during our interaction did the minister indicate any intention to disband the PKTT, let alone immediately or express concerns about its operations. This lack of prior warning made the subsequent developments all the more unexpected and perplexing, as there had been no communication or indication suggesting that such a drastic decision is imminent.
Can I just ask you maybe to pause there, to say up to that point, in other words, from the date of the 28th of December when you last saw the minister before the instruction was issued, and going backwards from the time when the minister was appointed into office, had the minister expressed any dissatisfaction or concern about the PKTT and its activities and that it was not performing satisfactorily?
No, he never expressed any dissatisfaction or unhappiness. Hence, he was not even yet briefed about what PKTT is and what it does.
Okay, I think you deal with that in the paragraphs that follow. If you can then deal with 109.
On the 2nd of January 2025, I received a WhatsApp message from Major General Sebula regarding a letter from the minister. Major General Sebula is working in my office as the executive manager. It has come, I had not seen the letter at that stage. The WhatsApp contained the letter from the minister addressed to me, dated 31st December 2024. The letter is attached as SFM 9.
Yes. Can I ask you to go to file 2, Masemola 2, annexure SFM 9, which starts at page 373.
Yes, I'm there.
If you're on 373, you'll see there the subject is a letter to Netcom, and it's an email from one Nkabinde CM dated 31 December 2024. Good afternoon, National Commissioner General Masemola. Please find the attached letter from the Minister for your urgent attention. That is dated the 31st of December, and you indicate that you received it on the 2nd by way of a WhatsApp. And you mentioned this on paragraph 109 of your statement. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
And before dealing with the contents of the letter, to go back to your paragraph 109, you continue, you say, I did not fully appreciate the significance of the letter because, as I said, I was on leave. And you then deal with the 3 topics that are addressed by that letter. If I can ask you then to turn to the letter at 374. You will see the heading. The heading is Directives on Matters Relating to Crime Intelligence, Ports of Entry and Political Killings Task Team. And the first issue is filling of posts in the Intelligence Division. The second is Ports of Entry. And if you turn over the page, the third one is the Political Killings Task Team. And if I can ask you to deal with that, issue that the minister was addressing. In 2019, please proceed from there.
Yeah, the letter reads as follows on paragraph 3, Political Killings Task Team. In 2019, a directive was made to the National Commissioner of Police following the Madlanga Commission report, even though not flowing directly from such, that an interministerial task force be established. The key mandate was to stop, investigate, resolve, unresolved matters of politicians in the country, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. My observation in this regard, as indicated above, is that further existence of this team is no longer required, nor is it adding any value to policing in South Africa. I therefore direct that the Political Killings Task Team be disestablished immediately. Further, that a preliminary report in this regard be submitted to the Minister by the 20th of January 2025. The final and closing report must be submitted to the Ministry Management Executive Committee meeting late January 2025, the date of which will be communicated as soon as possible. You are sincerely signed, Minister of Police, Mr. E.S. Mkhwanazi, MP, dated 31st of 12/2024.
Now, if you go back to the issue that was touched upon earlier by the commissioners, the 3 components that emanate from Section 2072, the issue of policy, direction, and operational issues. Now, with reference to the instruction that the minister is giving, what is your view when the minister says, I therefore direct that the Political Killing Task Team be disestablished immediately? Does that constitute policy or direction by the minister? If yes, why? If not, why not?
Yeah, my interpretation is that, well, it's a, it is a direction, is a directive that actually deals with the work of the National Commissioner, meaning that I take it as an encroachment in the operational activities of the organization, SAPS, because it's going as far as even saying the when must it be done, must be disbanded, moreover, without knowing, even not knowing the reasons why. So yes, in terms of, if you take it in terms of the Constitution, I definitely regard this as an overreach to the functions of the National Commission.
So you say as part of your response that when the minister said that the disbandment should happen immediately, that is also dealing with the how part, i.e. the implementation thereof.
Yeah, correct. Let's say my interpretation as a person maybe was wrong to say maybe this is still part of a direction. Then I'll have a problem where he says it must be done immediately, which is the how part. You could have left that to the National Commission. But now in this case, even where one doesn't know why, would you go as far as disbanding a team of this nature? Because for me, it flies in the face of Section 2053, where it says the police must, part of the function is to investigate crime. So if you stop the investigation of crime, I don't know now, what do you expect police to do?
Just to make sure that I understand, you emphasize the how. I do not know whether you are suggesting that there wasn't necessarily a problem with the disbandment instruction itself, or was there?
Commissioner, there was also a concern about the disbandment. What informed the disbandment?
Okay. But would it, all things being equal, and assuming that you had no problem with what informed it, would it have been a lawful instruction? Disband the PKTT, would that have been a lawful instruction, all things being equal?
In other words, is it still part of policy direction?
To say disband no, that's for me, that's an overreach, that's an operational matter. So it wouldn't, rather, if ever there is any problem, it should have been discussed.
In short then, with or without the how, the instruction was unlawful.
Yes, my interpretation is correct, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mutau.
Thank you, Chair. And then in the statement, you proceed that the matter could not wait. And remember, you're linking this to the point that you've made, or rather the point that you've read from the minister's letter that says a report must be prepared and submitted to the minister by the 20th of January 2025. And you were due to return to the office on 14 January that you, like you say, and you say you had considered that you would address the issue upon your return. But then in paragraph 110, if you can please comment from there, you say, however, it seemed the matter could not wait. If you can take it from there.
Yeah, paragraph 110. However, it seemed that the matter could not wait. I received a call from Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi same day, 2nd January 2025. He told me that he saw in the media a letter from the minister to me to disband the PKTT. I informed him that I am on leave until 14 January 2025 and had not had any opportunity to consider the contents of the letter from the minister, but that I was aware of it. I made it clear to Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi that I had nothing to do with the disbandment, and I informed him that the minister never sought any advice before taking the decision.
So when you say any there, you say my advice?
When I?
You say, you said now any, but the statement says never sought my advice?
Yeah, what I'm referring to is that the minister never sought an advice from me before he embarked on this action.
Yes, proceed. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi also informed.
Yeah, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi also informed me that he too had not been engaged in the possible dissolution of the PKTT.
And then in the next paragraph, you deal with how you classified the communication by the minister and what did you do as a step following that instruction that had been communicated to you by the minister. If you can please proceed. Paragraph 1.1.
Before you do that, General, do you have any knowledge how this letter would have ended up in the media on the 2nd of January?
I have got no idea as to how.
It's not from your office.
As far as I
To
know,
your
no,
knowledge.
it's not from my office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Given the fact that the minister was instructing, not soliciting our views of the disbandment of the PKTT, I deemed it necessary to speak to the president about the issue. I spoke to the president on the 1st of February 2025. During this meeting, I mentioned the minister's directive to disband such a successful team, and the president told me that he would speak to the minister. Of course, I didn't really require from the president to say whether he agree or not, but I did tell him that this team is being dissolved, reason unknown, and I said if ever it has to be done, it cannot even be done in this abrupt manner because I don't know what we are chasing. And that's when he says no, he will speak to the minister.
Yes, then 1.1.2, you say at a later stage?
At a later stage, the president did inform me that he did discuss the issue with the minister. He did not inform me on what details they discussed.
Did he tell you what outcome they reached on the issue?
No.
And is that where you left it with the president?
Yeah, that's where I ended. As I said, well, I didn't expect president to get to an operational matter, but I did tell him that there is this issue. And I said, if ever it has to be done, it should be a process of winding down and not this abrupt manner. And from there, well, later I did, that's why later then I already, by that time, I already submitted a report to the minister, the one that was due on the 20th, where I described or I was explaining to the minister that if you disband this team, this is the best way on the how part. And I described that it should be a wind down and it should be a phased out approach and not this abrupt. But still, as and when we meet, I kept on asking the minister, but what is the reason for the disbandment of the team? I never really got a real reason as to why.
Advocate Madam,
Yes.
just going back to the letter, General, it's on 375 in Masemola 2. paragraph 3, where the minister talks about the political killings task team. As far as you know, was the minister aware, as at 31 December 2024, that the mandate of the task team has been extended to Fort Hare and also the traditional leaders' killings? As far as you know, was the minister aware that the mandate had been extended?
I don't know. I wouldn't know who would have told him, but I just don't know whether he was aware.
The reason I'm asking you that is because the minister records in the letter that the key mandate was to stop, investigate, and resolve unresolved matters of politicians in the country, especially KwaZulu-Natal. But according to you, the mandate had been extended to deal with other issues.
Yes, the mandate was extended to deal with the Fort Hare and later extended to Gauteng. But also, that founding paragraph that a directive was made to National Commissioner in 2019, I don't know that. This team was not established as a result of the Madlanga Commission. The results of the report of Madlanga Commission came out somewhere 2018, September. This team was already in place because of the matter. So there's no relationship between Madlanga Commission and the establishment of the team because the team was already there. I wouldn't know the linkage, how it came about.
Thank you. And you later on in your statement deal with the various requests to brief the minister about the activities of the task team. Although those requests, you say you make them after this instruction had been issued. But leading to those interactions, if we could start at 113.
It is important to know that the PKTT had proven to be an essential unit in managing political related cases, particularly during periods of heightened tension such as election cycles. The abrupt directive to dissolve the team not only disregarded ongoing investigation processes, but also undermined the collaborative effort that were in place to ensure justice and stability in affected regions. This decision, taken without prior consultation or warning, created significant uncertainty amongst key stakeholders like your NPA and the risk disrupting the momentum of crucial investigations.
Yes, if I can ask you to just perhaps explain that last part, that last sentence about the uncertainty and the disruptive effect that it had on the stakeholders and the momentum of crucial investigations. If you could share with the Commission, what do you mean by that also?
Yeah, what refers, Commissioners, is that this team had a team of, the PKTT had a team of prosecutors that were assisting the team, guiding them with the investigation. So when all of a sudden there is abrupt decision to disband abruptly, then you leave them uncertain, not knowing what is happening. And of course, the work that they were doing also from their side, it means, is left incomplete because they were not regarded or consulted when this decision was taken.
And the issue regarding the impact, as you say, on the cases that were ongoing at that stage is not catered for in the minister's directive as to how they're supposed to be dealt with.
Yeah, the investigations that were still pending, let's say partially had bails and cases that were before court and so on. So that is one of the areas that were not taken care of in the letter. And as I said, the prosecutors from NPA were also not consulted. So does it mean they remain in the province of KwaZulu-Natal or they must go? So that raises questions. And also, the impact on the cases itself will definitely be problematic, because I also still go into court, and there must have been partially heard cases, and follow up on prosecutors' instruction by investigators. That has to be, still have to be done. So those, it means, would have all been disrupted in the main.
Right. I think we'll touch on some of those when you deal with the report that was prepared and submitted to the minister pursuant to the letter indicating that a report needed to be prepared by 20 January 2025, which is the topic that you deal with next at 114. If you could proceed from there.
Since the letter required a report to be prepared by, progress report be prepared by 20th of January 2025, and given that I was still on leave up to 14 January 2025, I instructed a brigadier Letoko in my office to forward all those letters from the minister to all the deputies, including General Sibia, to instruct them to prepare the necessary reports. My intention was to discuss the matter with the minister to understand his reasons and attempt to dissuade him.
Yeah, to dissuade him.
Dissuade him. However, the letter contained an instruction to prepare reports that were due by 20th of January 2025. Of course, if I refused to carry out that instruction, I would have been accused of insubordination, since all that was required insofar as the instruction was concerned was the preparation of the reports, which I then allowed the officials at my office to start doing while I was still on leave.
And if I can just ask there, to clarify, when you say the refusal to prepare a report could possibly result in the minister accusing you of insubordination, what do you mean by that?
I'm meaning that, well, he want a progress report by 20th of January, but he want also the immediate disbandment, which by design, it looks like it was designed that it happened while I was still on leave. So I said to the officials that no, prepare the reports, but no disbandment, because the date for the first report is 20th of January, and I'll be back by the 14th. So all I'm saying is, if I didn't do anything, probably the minister would have said, yeah, no, this one is not taking my instructions. Hence I said, no, prepare the reports, I'll see them when I come back.
So it's prepared, don't submit, because I'll be back and I'll deal with it when I get there.
Yes, because the due date was the 20th of January. I said, no, prepare the reports. When I come back the 14th, I'll deal with everything henceforth from there onwards.
Please explain this. The minister says prepare a report, preliminary report in this regard. And this follows the sentence that says the PKTT is being disestablished immediately. So when it says a preliminary report in this regard, what did you understand that to mean?
My understanding was that he want a report, probably on how far is the disestablishment. But what I am saying to the official is, no, you don't disestablish anything. Prepare a report in terms of how you think this establishment, if ever is done, how it should be done. But that the team be disestablished immediately, well, that I didn't comply with, and I told them nothing should happen. Maybe that was the plan, that it happened while I was on leave, but I said to them nothing happened to the team. They can start preparing reports on the team.
Here's what I'm trying to understand. You have said now more than once that an instruction to disband would be unlawful, or once given, it was unlawful. Now, it doesn't quite make sense to me that you would have feared insubordination if asked to make a progress report, that's how I understand you, on a disbandment that is unlawful. Why did you not say, Minister, your disbandment instruction is unlawful? Therefore, I cannot make a progress report on something that is unlawful.
Well, that I didn't say. I just said to the team, prepare whatever report, but compliance to that immediate disestablishment, you just don't do that one until I come back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Then on paragraph 115, you deal with the fact that you returned to the office. If you can proceed from there.
Yeah, I returned to the office on the 14th of January 2025. And late in the afternoon, I had a discussion with Lieutenant General Sibia. He presented a plan or a letter to me on how to close the PKTT in line with the directive of the minister. I was, however, not satisfied with that proposed plan because it contained, most important, contained this immediate disestablishment. And I informed him, General Sibia, that it would be responsible of to summarily disband the PKTT and remove case dockets from them, as it will detrimentally affect, it will have a detrimental effect on the investigation of the cases. It will cause problems, complications in relation to the prosecution of matters already in court, and it will detrimentally affect witnesses in witness protection and families that were affected by these killings.
And then you say in 116, you gave Lieutenant General Sibia an instruction?
I instructed General Sibia that the PKTT should be wound down in a phased approach without compromising the proper execution of our police duties, if ever it has to be done. And which I then instructed him to go and rework on this plan. And I further directed him to another Major General to go and assist him in developing something of a phased out approach.
Yes.
General, now you're talking winding down. You actually repeat this further on, paragraph 131. You say, importantly, insofar as the way forward is concerned, this is 131. We had proposed that the following steps be taken to wind down the PKTT. And in 131.2, you say the 128 dockets that were still, no, I'm looking at the wrong paragraph. 131.3, you say no new dockets would be taken by or allocated to the PKTT. So what you say in 116 ties in with what you say in 131 and 131.3. What all that tells me is that you had basically accepted that the PKTT be disbanded. Your difference with the minister and indeed even Lieutenant General Sibiya was whether this should be immediate, which is what the minister and Lieutenant General Sibiya wanted, or it should be a phased process, which is what you preferred. Now you have said that the instruction to disband was unlawful. Can you explain why you accepted that there be a disbandment, but that it be a phased process?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. After, of course, talking to the minister, looking for an ear to explain this matter further, to understand why is he doing what he's doing. At some point then, I had no alternative left but to say, well, if ever it has to go your way of disbandment. In other words, I'm giving in, but not in his approach, but on my approach, to say, let then the team be wind down if ever it has to be disbanded. So, and in the absence of a hearing by him, because since that time we never discussed it. He agreed that he will make time that we discuss this matter. But that time didn't come, even though I know I met him on the 16th of January, and we discussed other matters. When we come to this one, he says, no, let's wait for the report of the 20th. So that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that at this point in time, yes, in a way I'm giving into his instruction, but I say, not your way, but my way. And that's where then still there was no agreement on that.
I do not understand that, General. Remember, right at the beginning, I asked you this, and I even said, I was first hypothetical, as it were, and then I said, I will ask you as General Masemola a direct question. And I said, if the minister were to give you an instruction that strays onto your purview of functions, would you obey that? And you said you would disobey that. Do you remember giving me that answer right at the beginning?
Yeah, correct, Commissioner.
Now, why is it that once confronted with what you say was an unlawful instruction from the minister, you relented? Can you explain that? Especially regard being heard to what you say at paragraph 161 of your affidavit. In fact, paragraphs 161 and 188. You say, I'm sorry. You say in paragraph 161, the decision to disband the PKTT in KZN was fundamentally an operational matter falling squarely within the purview of the National Commissioner, who is responsible for the management and strategic deployment of policing resources. The effect of that is that the instruction was unlawful. The minister was not legally entitled to have given that instruction. Do you agree that that is the effect of this? Paragraph 161.
I do agree, Commissioner.
All right, let me take you to 188. There you say, in respect of the minister, knowing what I now know, what I consider to be irrational and inexplicable, and I emphasize what follows, encroachment into operational issues is now explained, blah, blah, blah. But what I focus on is you say the minister was encroaching onto your area of function. Now, just tell me how, especially in the face of what you said at the beginning, which is that you would not obey an unlawful instruction from the minister. Now, you say in so many ways that this was unlawful. Unlawful, why? Because it strayed onto your area of function. So why do you now suddenly talk the language of winding down in a phased manner, and no new dockets are to be given to the PKTT? Effectively, you are relenting to an unlawful instruction. And you have told us at the beginning, you will never do that. You will disobey an unlawful instruction. Can you please explain yourself?
Thanks, Commissioner. Well, if you look back on the letter, it did say disestablish immediately. I refused to do that, hence I said to my team, don't do it. I come back, I seek audience. The audience don't come, and eventually when it comes, it's still insistence on do established. And by that time, of course, I'm not aware of that the December operation gave effect to the disestablishment of the team. But of course, I'm seeking answers. Why is this team being established? And I've got no other assistance where to go to. I've got this team, I've got this minister, and he insists on this establishment.
General, if it's unlawful, it's unlawful.
I agree, Commissioner.
So I just do not get you. I do not follow you. It's unlawful, and you told us this morning that if an unlawful instruction were to issue from the minister, you would disobey it. Now here's one. It's unlawful at paragraph 161 and at paragraph 188 of your affidavit. You say the instruction was unlawful. So why obey it if you've told us that you would not obey an unlawful instruction? It's a simple question. I don't quite get your answer.
Okay, no, I agree, Commissioner. I do understand what the Commissioner is saying. That yes, I said I will not agree to it. But what I'm saying is that if you were sitting in my position where I was, and this minister is insistent, without the hindsight of knowing later, because the Commissioner now is advantage in that you have got the before I know the December operation of the 6th, how it impacted on the disestablishment. And also me say no, I'm not going to comply with this instruction, which I did to an extent, made sure the team is not disestablished immediately, that I was successful. And eventually, without any other help, and with this minister here in front of me, insisting, I had to end up saying, well, if we do it your way, I don't accept, but let's rather do it my way. Probably as we go along, I might find motive, and kept on saying, but Minister, why are you disestablishing this team? I kept asking that question all the time. I did acknowledge, Commissioner, that yes, initially I refused not to comply with his instruction. But after having no any other way, and life goes on, this man is here in front of me, he wants the team disestablished. There is no any other help. So what do? The only way that I did was, no, if you do that, you do it my way, not your way. Because
Maybe then, I hope I won't sound as being facetious. Maybe then you should have qualified your answer of this morning and say, I would not obey an unlawful instruction unless the minister breathes down my neck.
unless,
The minister breathes down my neck.
okay. I hear, Commissioner. The positions that we find ourselves as government officials, well, I'm sure the commissioners are prerogative where they are sitting. We go through things.
As a follow-up to your discussion with the chair, what is available to you, whether from your employment terms, whether the laws that govern your position and policies, what is available to you as a mechanism should you disagree with the minister, for example, on the decisions such as this? Is there anything available structurally that allows you to escalate the matter or to pursue a particular cause to get resolution other than trying to meet with the minister? Is there structurally anything that you can do about it?
Yeah, well, the only avenue I know is the president. Other than that, well, in this case, General Mkhwanazi did report to the Portfolio Committee on Police. There was no assistance. So, I don't know. Basically, I can't take my own minister to court.
Yes.
So there is no any other avenue.
You went to the president. You did speak to the president about it.
Yes, I did speak to.
Thank you.
And I can't go to court, taking the same minister to court. There was no such a room.
Right. So you say you couldn't take the minister to court. We know you told us earlier you went to the president, and earlier on in your evidence you say that the best that you thought you could do at that time was to insist on a phased out approach, and you indicated that you were hoping that in that intervening period you could perhaps get to answer the question, why was the minister disestablishing the task team? I think it's as part of your engagement and interaction with the commissioners.
That's correct, Commissioner.
But was it an option for you to say, I'm not going to do it at all? You remember what the chair asked? The chair said, he asked you earlier on whether would you obey an unlawful instruction by a minister, and you said no. And in light of the engagement, he says, perhaps you should have qualified it and said, unless the minister was breathing down my neck, then in that case, I would implement an unlawful instruction. I think that's the import of what the chair was putting to you, that it seems in 116, when you implement this instruction by way of a winding down, it seems to be inconsistent with the earlier answer when you said, But if an instruction is unlawful from a minister, without more, in other words, without qualifying it, you said you wouldn't implement it. Do you understand where the commissioners are coming from?
Yeah, no, I understand where they are coming from, yes.
And
Sorry, Mr. Mtao, can I just to be clear, so that I'm clear what the general is saying. General, how I understand you, you're saying you did not give effect to the instruction of immediate disbandment. So you didn't take any action. All you did was you started preparing a report which would recommend how it should be done. So at no point, as you sit there, at no point did you take steps to disband the team. Am I understanding you correctly?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So what I did was to propose that if we disband, this is the way. And can minister sign that off? The report of the 20th of January, which was submitted 22nd of January. So that wasn't signed off, and we were left, of course, then in a limbo.
so,
And then,
yeah. So the high watermark.
as we are sitting here today, forget about the report. As we are sitting here today, have you disbanded the task team in accordance with the minister's instructions?
No, I've not. I haven't sent out a letter to disband the task team. But however, I'm aware that proposals that have been made here, some people end up starting implementing them, but the task team was never disbanded. That I haven't signed. I kept renewing the authorities for it to continue working.
But you yourself had actually relented. That was my point. You yourself had actually relented and accepted that the PKTT should be disbanded. And I say so for what you stated in the two paragraphs I referred to. I think it was 131 and 131 point something. There you basically accept that the PKTT must go. You say it must be wound down, but it must be wound down in a phased manner. So you may not have gotten to the stage of actually killing it, but you had accepted that it must be killed, but in a phased manner. That's where I am. And you go so far as to say that no new dockets must be given to it. So you've basically accepted the instruction, but it's merely just a question of how this should be implemented. You can only implement a decision if you've accepted it. So that's where I am.
Yeah, correct, Commissioner. There, yes, in terms of those proposals, that's what I end up proposing to the minister that, yes, maybe this is the way to go, which was still not accepted.
If we can then continue from paragraph 117, you deal with the events of 15 January 2025 in relation to Lieutenant General Sibia. If you can please proceed from there.
Sorry, Mr. Mtao, before that, I do apologize. In that letter at page 374, the letter from the minister, you have that paragraph 1, which is about the filling of posts in the intelligence division. Do you have any comment about that? Why such an instruction was given, and whether that had any consequence? Well, whether you implemented it and what consequence, if any, did that have on that division?
Yes, Commissioner, the decision, yes, was we were directed not to fill vacant posts, and they were not filled, and they are still vacant even now. The advert, I think it went out either last weekend or now recently. It will go out if it's not yet out. I don't know the reason, but when I asked him, why are you freezing these posts? he gave me the reasons that the advert are too generic, they are not specific, in that the advert in the main was that our advert says diploma or degree, and according to him, we can't lump those two together. But we did explain to him why it's like that, to say, if you go a little bit far in the past, the only qualification that was there for the police was a diploma. And most members will have that diploma, which was offered by a technicon called Technicon. It was first RSA and then SA, and then later it merged with UNISA. So if you say degree only, then it means you are excluding majority of the senior and experienced people. So we rather say diploma degree. That was the reason that we gave him. But nevertheless, he have that his understanding on that.
And before this letter and this instruction on the filling of posts, had there been a discussion between you and the minister about this issue of the filling of posts? And is it ordinarily a matter that the minister gets to make a decision about, to give instructions on?
No, normally when the posts are vacant, it's an administrative matter that get filled between myself and either the division or between myself and the provincial commissioners. Actually, sometimes I only sign that adverts because the specific provincial commissioner will liaise with the division human resource and they will advertise posts. That's how it is being handled.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Is you about to deal with the day after your return and your second engagement with Lieutenant General Sibia on the 15th of January, page 1, paragraph 117? Please proceed.
Thanks, Commissioners. Paragraph 117. On the 15th of January 2025, Lieutenant General Sibia came to my office and found me with Major General Sabula. He briefed me on the prepared plan or letter. You'll recall that a day before, I said to him that I will not sign his letter because it doesn't even entail that winding down plan. So the next day he came with a different letter. He presented the letter to me, which he directed to Kumalo, which letter I requested that I sign. I did not sign the letter, and I told him I would prefer that if ultimately the PKDT was to be disbanded, which I was against, I did not want it to be abrupt, but rather be taken through a process of winding down gradually. I told him to leave the matter with me. I will continue with it myself and develop the report that the minister required. Lieutenant General Sibia was well aware that as a national commissioner, only I had the authority to sign off the letter he wanted me to sign. Hence, he brought it to me 2 days in succession. Notwithstanding this, he proceeded to issue same letter under his own name on 17 January 2025 without even changing the due date, which was the 16th of January 2025.
If I can ask you to stop there, do you have an idea, or did you have an idea at that stage, why would Lieutenant General Sibia come to you, request you to sign a letter, and you refuse, and he ultimately decide to issue it in his own name?
16th of January. Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, and I briefed the minister on the 16th of January on the involvement of on Lieutenant General Sibiya's involvement and association with criminal syndicates. I will deal with this matter, this briefing later.
All right, so if we stop there, on the chronology, you say you came back to work on the 14th. He came to your office to speak to you. He returned on the 15th. And the conclusion of that discussion that you had over the 2-day period was that he should leave the matter with you and you will deal with it.
That's correct, that I will do the report myself.
And that you then did not sign off on that letter, which is where you left the matter on the 15th. Then on the 16th, you brief the minister, and we'll deal with the details of that meeting with the minister in more detail later. But you say you briefed the minister on the 16th of January, among other things that you briefed him on, was on Lieutenant General Sibiya's involvement in an association with the criminal syndicates.
That's correct, Commissioners.
And then you say that was on the 16th, and on the 17th, Lieutenant General Sibiya issued this letter in his own name.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Okay.
Mr. Mdawi, do we have a copy of that letter in the bundle?
Yes, we're gonna get to it.
You
now.
get there.
Yes, we're gonna get to it. We'll come back to the details of what is it that you briefed the minister on, and what is it that you say links General Sibiya or makes him involved and associates him with the criminal syndicate. We'll deal with that issue. And in particular, the status of those issues as reported to the minister. What exactly were they? Is it allegations? Is it facts? But we'll get to that issue in a short while. If I can ask you to turn to 118. If you can proceed from there.
Yeah, in line with my discussion with Lieutenant General Sibiya, I also had a discussion with Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo. I told him to prepare a preliminary report as contained in the Minister's Directive of 31 December 2024, and that we should aim for the 20 January 2025 to submit the report. Since this was a direct instruction from me, it took precedence over Sibiya's instruction. During that week, although I do not recall the exact date.
Sorry, perhaps can I just ask before we go there, Commissioner Mado, just to give you the reference of where we are going with that letter, it is at 376. If perhaps you want to have a look at it ahead of. Yes, let's proceed, because you deal with it in paragraph 122, which is where we are going. Yes, during that week?
During that week, although I do not recall the exact date, I contacted the minister via mobile to request audience. I informed him of the importance of providing an initial briefing regarding the establishment and activities of PKTTG. The minister indicated his willingness to schedule time for this discussion. At the same time, there were adverse media reports pertaining to crime intelligence. The minister subsequently called me to express his intention to appoint a senior counsel to investigate various issues highlighted in the media, including the appointment of Brigadier Lekhalanyane and Brigadier Mokwele, the security clearance of General Dumisani Khumalo, and the murder of Sindiso Makata. I assured him that detailed information on these topics was readily available and reiterated my request again to brief him comprehensively on matters related to crime intelligence and the PKTT. The minister agreed to a briefing on the afternoon of the 16th of January.
So if I can just ask you to pause there. Those issues that the minister had expressed that he had an intention to appoint a senior counsel to investigate. Did those topics or issues form part of the issues that you had been wanting to brief the minister on?
That is correct. All those issues, including because he even asked me, including the murder of Sindiso Makata. And then I explained to him, yes, including that case, because the only time you see those media articles is because of the work of the PKTT.
All right, then proceed 1 to 1.
On that day, Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo and myself, which is the 16th of January, briefed the minister with a thorough update on the aforementioned matters, as well as ongoing counter-intelligence investigations, and reminded the minister that a briefing on the PKTT should still be held. The briefing included an identified syndicate with significant influence and or connections, politically and or within law enforcement and the criminal justice system. The report included the identity of senior subs officers who are associated with criminal syndicates and or who are advancing or protecting the interest of what's called Big Five within the law enforcement criminal justice system.
What is that?
Commissioner?
What is this Big Five? It's certainly not the animals.
No. It's not the animal, Commissioner. It's people that are involved in criminal syndicates. They were just termed by the team to be called the Big Five.
Is this specific individuals or is it a generic term?
Yes, Commissioner, there are specific names attached to those individuals or attached to the so-called Big Five.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, can I ask, as I understand, those issues involve issues of crime intelligence, and those are the aspects that General Khumalo is going to speak to. And I'm aware, you might not know this, I'm aware that the intention is that part of his evidence, there's going to be an application that is going to be made to the commission, that it be heard in camera. That's how far I'm able to deal with that issue.
Correct.
Chair and Commissioners, yes.
If an application for in-camera proceedings will be granted.
Yes, no, Chair. There's a separate team that is running that issue.
Yes.
And of course.
No, I thought I should just record the if.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
if. Yes.
Thank you.
No, thanks for that. Of course, that application has to satisfy the criteria. And General, if we can then continue, you say Lieutenant General Sibia was included as one of the senior subs officers involved with criminal syndicate. the details of this briefing cannot be publicly disclosed given the crime intelligence implications. In fact, when we briefed the minister, he was given a hard copy of the briefing note, and after the briefing note, he had to return the copy. As a result, the minister saw the names of the implicated persons, which included Lieutenant General Sibia, Katiso Molefe, and Ket Matlala. Can I just ask, I'm running ahead of your statement. I'm moving from paragraph 121 to paragraph 179. Perhaps starting from 178 to give context. On 178, you deal with the summary of the report of the investigation into the alleged misconduct of Lieutenant General Sibia. I'll come back to the other details at a later stage, but there are two things that I'd like you to deal with out of these allegations. If you turn to page 58 of your statement, paragraph 179.5. There you say there are unsubstantiated, well, so one of the issues that you wanted the investigator to look into, or the person that had been appointed to conduct this investigation, was alleged associations. And at that stage, it says there are unsubstantiated allegations that Lieutenant General Sibia has associations with individuals under investigation by SAPS, including Mr. Vusi Matlala. These allegations require further criminal investigation. Now, the question that I'm asking you is this. If you look at this paragraph, it says the allegations at this stage are unsubstantiated and they require further criminal investigation. You see that? 179.5. And if you look back at paragraph 121, it says, the part that I just read, Lieutenant General Sibia was included as one of the senior SAPS officers involved with criminal syndicate. And can I ask you to clarify to the commission what is the status of these allegations? Because you see, on the one hand, it says unsubstantiated, and in the earlier part, the allegations, well, the association is put as a fact.
Thanks, commissioners.
So that when the commissioners apply themselves to this issue, they've got to understand what your evidence is.
Yeah, commissioners, this is a matter that is under investigation, and one, of course, will never say, you can never qualify it. For now, you can say it's unsubstantiated allegations until it is fully investigated and proven. That's what I would like to say at this stage.
So between these two versions, the commissioners should go with the one at 179.5.
The one of 179.5.
To say that they are still currently being investigated and they're not substantiated.
Correct, commissioners.
Okay.
Mr. Mdau, may I
Yes.
just test this?
Yes.
My understanding of 121, the part that you referred to, is what was contained in the briefing to the minister. And then later on, in the later paragraph, it's an instruction to the person appointed to conduct an inquiry. So it's actually, it's not a case of choosing, at least for the commissioners, to choose the one or the other, but it's recording what was said to the minister and then something slightly different to the investigator. Yeah. Am I?
No, perhaps the issue will become clear, I think, when we get to deal with it later.
Okay.
But I understand, Commissioner Aloy, there's nothing wrong with that categorization, that the one is a factual recorder of what was presented to the minister during the presentation in that hard copy. And then the other one relates to an investigation that was conducted internally and the terms of reference that were given to the investigator. Yes, I think we'll not pitch it higher than that.
Thank you.
Thanks. But the point then that you make, returning to 121, is that the consequence that you refer to in the last sentence in paragraph 121, you say, following that presentation that was given to the minister in that hard copy, he saw the three names of these implicated persons: Lieutenant General Sibia, Mr. Katiso Molefe, and Mr. Ket Matala. And that is...
Yeah, that's correct, Commissioners.
That is on the 16th. And then your point that you were making earlier is then on the 17th of January, which is on paragraph 122, the letter that General Sibia had brought to you on the 14th and the 15th, which you refused to sign, he proceeded to issue it himself under his own name.
That's correct, Commissioners.
And you state in that paragraph that by so doing, by issuing that letter, contrary to what you had indicated to him, it was in defiance of your instruction to implement the minister's disbandment instruction and to prepare a report essentially justifying the decision to disband the PKTT. So when he did that, you say he disobeyed your instruction.
That's correct, Commissioners.
And can I ask you to turn to that letter? It is at page 376 of Masemola 2.
Are you there, General?
I am there. Thanks.
Thanks.
Commissioner.
Yes, and I'm going to refer you to some portions of this letter in which General Sibia deals with certain aspects regarding the disbandment. And I'll take you back to your statement where you say you've considered all of these aspects that he was suggesting, but even implementing the disbandment in the terms as he had stipulated here would still have a disruptive effect. And if I can then ask you, General, to start on 376, paragraph 3. This is after he deals with the establishment of the task team, the minister's letter of the 31st of December. Then in paragraph 3, says the directive requires immediate compliance with appropriate measures to be undertaken to ensure the effective disbandment of the NTT PKT in accordance with current prescripts in this regard. If I can perhaps ask you there, throughout it is the PKTT and now it is the N, which represents national. Is there any reason for that change?
There won't be any change according to me. I take it that it still referred to the PKTT, and it's the same as the N NTTPK. Same, it refers to the same team basically.
And he says there, with appropriate measures to be undertaken to ensure the effective disbandment of the task team in accordance with the current prescripts in this regard. What are these prescripts that he is referring to that govern or set out appropriate measures that need to be undertaken to ensure the effective disbandment of the task team? Do you know?
No, I don't know those measures.
And he continues, he says, these measures must ensure that ongoing investigations are not disrupted or compromised.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know what the how part, what does he refer? I don't know.
You didn't engage him on this? Did you get a chance to engage him on this?
When he brought this letter to me, the 15th, when I look at it, I scanned it. The only area that I said I don't agree with, I said, I can see whatever you do, but I do not want this immediate disbandment of now, because you say all this, but you still want immediate disbandment. And I told you that if ever we disband, we should wind the team down.
And you indicated, you concluded by saying he must leave it with you, you will implement it.
Yes, no, I concluded by saying that don't even write anything, the report to the minister. I'll do it myself. And once we got approval from the minister, if he agree or disagree with me, we'll take it from there. And only then we'll start implementing.
Did you have an opportunity to consider paragraph 3.7 of his letter during those engagements? 3.7, page 378.
And the one talking 3.7.
Stakeholder communication. All internal and external stakeholders must be notified in writing about the disbandment of the task team, the transition plan for ongoing cases, and the future protocol. Did you have a chance to consider that aspect of the letter?
No. I didn't really consider the whole letter, but the issue there will be who should do that external stakeholder engagement, because whoever it should be done by him or myself, whoever it has to be done.
And paragraph 4, a comprehensive closing report must be submitted by 16 January 2025, confirming compliance with the aforementioned directive. And he goes on to talk about how it should be structured. And you've indicated this letter, he signed it on the 17th.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have, there is no report that would have been in by the 16th of January then.
And then 4.5, 379, stakeholder feedback. Input from key stakeholders in response to the announced disbandment of the task team, for example, comments by the NPA and SSA. I take it that you also did not consider
No.
that aspect.
No, I didn't consider that. I just said, as long as you talk of immediate disbandment, so just leave this and leave it for me to come up with a plan.
And I'm pointing you to these aspects, General, just in case there is going to be a narrative that says, but some of these things that you wanted to be done on a gradual basis were still there. And you say in your statement, you considered this plan when he was talking to you about it, and you still decided that or concluded that it wasn't going to effectively address your concerns.
Yeah, in other words, I wanted that he should come up with a plan, not writing a letter that there must be a plan coming from somewhere. He should come with this winding down plan that clearly says what and how it should happen, not writing somewhere else, looking for somebody to do a plan.
Right. And in paragraph 126 of your statement, you continue to deal with parts of the contents of this letter. You will see you start with a reference to the contents from paragraph 123, 124, 125. And paragraph 126. You see that?
I see that, Commissioners.
And if perhaps you can deal with that conclusion in 127. You say you found something peculiar with that instruction letter.
Yeah, I said that I found it peculiar that the instruction letter from General Sibia required the closing report to include the very same information, the very same information that the minister ought to have considered at the time when he made the decision to disband the PTT, not after he had taken the decision, such as a summary of the key consideration that resulted in the decision to disband the PKTT, because it's not Kumar is the minister.
So this is information that is sought after the fact, but not prior, which information would be needed for purposes of deciding whether to disband the task team or not.
Yeah, so that such information should be part of the assessment that was done, that is referred to in the minister's letter, before he come to the conclusion to disband.
Yes. And perhaps just before we proceed on 128, if I can just ask you to tie in a point that you make in paragraph 126, the second sentence, as previously stated. 126, second sentence, as previously stated.
That's the fourth line of 126, General.
As previously stated, the PKTT was formed because the existing investigative units were ill-equipped to handle the sophisticated nature of political killings and organized crime. In fact, Lieutenant General Sibia's instruction was to abandon an effective model and revert to a model so unsuccessful that the President had to intervene to establish IMC to address this killing.
So in 126 and 127, you mention at least two reasons why you had a difficulty with Lieutenant General Sibia's approach.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Then if we go to 128.
Mr. Mutau, before you go to 128, which I think is a different discussion, so maybe still on this letter. General, this letter from General Sibia does give instructions for immediate implementation, setting up temporary transition teams. In fact, he says in paragraph 3, the directive requires immediate compliance in paragraph 3 of that letter. And then there's a whole list of effective measures that must be taken. People must go back to their stations, equipment and vehicles allocated must be redistributed. So this is a letter that, on receiving it, in my understanding, the recipient, it's directed to the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence. What was the instruction after you received the letter and you are now from the minister and you are now back in your office and you are interacting with the content of the instruction from the minister? What was your instruction to your divisional commissioners? And I'm more interested specifically the instruction to Sibia, to General Sibia.
Yeah, the instruction to him was go and draw a plan that would wind down the team.
Yes.
Not go give instructions, come back to me with a plan that detail that this is a wind down plan of the team.
Yes.
That's what I wanted from him.
Yes.
And I did mention that not this immediate disbandment, so you must stay away from that. Develop a plan that talk to, firstly, the work of the team up to so far, and thereafter come up with a wind down plan as to how should we are going to wind down the team in a phased out approach.
Yes. And before that instruction to General Sibia and others, what was his involvement, if any, with the work of this task team?
He was never involved. The little I remember, he attended one briefing in KZN.
Yes.
Other than that, he would recommend, when financial authorities comes, he will recommend them forward to me. But the detailed work of the team, as far as I know, no, he was never involved.
So, according to you, would he have been in a position to brief the minister? If he had briefed the minister on the team, on this task team, would he have been in a proper position to do that, given what you know about his involvement or non-involvement with the team?
Yeah, the way I know his involvement, no, he would not have been capable, he wouldn't have been able to brief the minister on the work of the team at all, no. Maybe the former minister, yes, could better brief the current minister much better, not General Sibia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mta.
Thank you, Commissioner Maloi. And I think earlier on in your statement, you made the point, and we've dealt with it, that the three people that could have briefed the minister, yourself, General Mkhwanazi, and General Khumalo, were not requested to provide a briefing, and you never provided that briefing prior to the decision of immediate disbandment being taken.
That's correct, Commissioners.
Right. And if we can then turn to paragraph 128, we are going to deal there with the paragraph that leads us to the report of the 20th of January 2025 that was then prepared and you submitted to the minister on the 22nd. If I can just ask you to deal with that paragraph.
Yeah, on paragraph 28, Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo prepared the report for the minister and submitted it to me in order for me to present it to the minister on the 20th of January 2025. Of course, I also worked on the report myself with the legal services. I was informed by the minister's office that he would only be in the office on the 22nd of January 2025. I waited for the minister to return on the 22nd of January 2025. I submitted the report to him. The report is annexed as SFM 11 on the
Masemola 2.
SFM 2.
Yes, that's at page 381. If I can ask you to tend to 382, because on 381 it's a covering letter from yourself to the minister. Then the report itself starts at 382. In paragraph 1, you deal with the filling of posts, which was the first point in the minister's letter. Those posts within crime intelligence. Then the second point, you deal with ports of entry. And the third point, in paragraph 3, you deal with the political killings task team. And if I could just ask you, there under that paragraph 3, you say the contents of this paragraph have been noted. It's further noted that a preliminary report has been requested by 20 January 2025, and the report is provided as follows. In 3.1, you deal with the background to its establishment. (3.2), the threat assessment overview. And if you proceed, in 3.3, you deal with the current strength of the National Task Team. If I can ask you to deal with that. Because here you are highlighting the strengths to the minister.
Okay, on 3.
Yes, I'm on page 385.
Yeah, 385.
Yes.
Says that the National Task Team is a task team consisting of 102 members from different specialities drawn from different provinces within subs as follows.
Yes. And then there you give the breakdown of the expertise.
Correct.
I don't think we need to get into those details, but proceed underneath that.
Further, the team has since been allocated a team of 16 dedicated prosecutors from the Organized Crime Unit of KwaZulu-Natal National Prosecuting Authority.
And then in paragraph 3.4, you deal with the progress report on cases. Under 3.4.1, it's investigation and prosecution of political related cases in KwaZulu-Natal. And the statistics are provided underneath that. If you turn over the page, you deal with the investigation and prosecution status of allocated politically related cases. And you proceed. I'd like you to deal with 3.4.3, where you say this, or where the report deals with the status of arrested suspects on politically related cases. The numbers are provided. You'll see it says from July 2018 to date, meaning the date on which you are submitting the report to the minister being the 20th. When it was prepared, 20th, submitted on the 22nd.
Yeah, if it's submitted on the 22nd January, it means the report would have been gone up to end of February.
And then the 388 suspects you deal with, and you give the breakdown there. But I need you to deal with what you say after giving the breakdown. It must be highlighted. Please, if I can ask you to deal with that.
Yeah, it must be highlighted that 34 subs members were arrested and charged on various related charges, including be involved in the killings or defeating the cause of justice on political related cases. These include former Sergeant Dlamini, whose case is all of a sudden making headlines. All arrests and factual reports were submitted to the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal for departmental processes to be initiated.
This issue of Sergeant Dlamini, you deal with it later in your statement. And perhaps we'll deal with it there when you get to that portion. But it's one of the matters that you reported to the minister on. Then 3.44, you deal with the breakdown of the role of the 388 suspects that had been arrested. And then in 3.4.5, you deal with parallel dockets linked to political related cases. And if I can just ask you to proceed from there to go to 3.5.3 on 389.
On 387.
389, paragraph 3.5.3. Investigation of University of Fort Hare murder cases.
Okay, thanks, Commissioners. During January 2022, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare lodged a complaint with the President of the Republic of South Africa regarding the murder of staff and officials of the university and the slow pace of the investigation thereof. The National Commissioner of SAPS directed that the National Task Team investigating political related cases in KwaZulu-Natal take over the investigation of these cases as from January
2023.
23.
I think if I can just ask you to stop there. You remember Commissioner Khumalo asked whether the minister, having regard to what he says in his letter, whether was he aware that the task team had extended its mandate, or its mandate had been extended beyond KZN. You recall earlier.
Correct.
And you said at that stage, he would not, according to you, you don't know, and you don't think he would have been aware prior to the disbandment letter and instruction that he had provided. And at least on your engagement with the minister, you inform him after he has taken this decision in this report, which is after the fact. You understand? This information, at least on what we have now, there's nothing that shows that the minister was aware of this extension of this scope prior to him writing that letter.
That is correct, Commissioners. Yes, he might not have been aware before, but after. But I also need to just correct, I think on paragraph 353.
353, yes.
Yeah, the date there, January 2022, and on the second paragraph, January 2023. I think the first paragraph, January 2022, is incorrect. It should be 2023 also. The paragraph below 353.
Yes. So it should be January 2023.
Correct.
Thank you. And then you also deal with the complaints that were referred to the minister against the task team. If you go to 392, paragraph 3.6. You say cases highlighted by critics of the task team. The following cases have been referred to in letters written to the minister in which accusations have been leveled against the task team. And you deal with those three cases that had been identified, or at least which had been brought to the minister's attention correct?
That is correct, Commissioners.
And then in paragraph 3.7 at 395, you also bring to the minister's attention the extension of the National Task Team's mandate. In paragraph 3.7, to deal with the House of Traditional Leaders. If I can just ask you to deal with that.
That is correct, Commissioners. 3.7,
Yes.
extension of the National Task Team mandate. Since April 2024, after concern were raised by the House of Traditional Leaders and South African Local Government Association to the Presidency, a directive was issued that the task team's mandate be extended to include the investigation and prosecution of cases involving the killings of traditional leaders in KwaZulu-Natal with effect from April 2024. This resulted in additional 50 case dockets allocated to the team. 48 are murder, 1 is attempted murder, 1 is kidnapping.
And then if I can just ask you to skip the breakdown of the cases. And
Mr. Matau, maybe to help you because it's almost 4 o'clock, if the General can just conclude by letting us know who issued that directive referred to them.
did you follow that?
Okay, I follow that. That directive was issued by myself, the National Commissioner.
So it was not the President?
No. I had a meeting with Minister of Police and Minister of Cocta, and after that meeting, I said to them, this is the way forward, how I'm going to deal with the matter. I'm going to give the matter to the political killings task team.
In fact, you did deal with it in your evidence earlier when you said you issued an instruction to implement the extension of that scope. And if I could perhaps conclude, Chair and members of the Commission, with the conclusion on page 406, paragraph 3.11. You indicated to the Minister your view regarding the performance of the task team. If I can just ask you to just deal with that. Before, in other words, from the words the task team until politically motivated matters.
Yeah, the paragraph 311 in the conclusion, the task team has undeniably achieved and far exceeded the purpose for which it was established. No other task team in South Africa has achieved these successes, nor has been able to investigate and ensure successful prosecution of the perpetrators of politically motivated murders.
Okay. I think if perhaps we can stop at that point if it's convenient, and then Chair and members of the Commission, I'll just deal with a few of the aspects that are touched on in that conclusion. Then.
Thank you, Mr. Mtau. Thank you, General. Let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 tomorrow.